Hey guys, it's Marty and welcome to Two Line Slot Cars. And this week we're going to take a look at a newer controller, the Special Control MK15 by Franceshini. Hopefully I pronounced that right. This is a pretty cool controller. So guys, the Spirit of America team went over to Italy to race, and they had some issues with controllers. And a couple of the guys had purchased these maybe the year before. They had been testing it, and what they found is on that track, this controller, the Special Control MK15, was really, really good. So Greg Kessler from Velocity Slot Racing Parts decided to order some of these, and we're going to take a look at this controller. I'm just going to talk a little bit about it in this video, just talk about the functions of it, and listen, you can go fast with any controller, okay? The controller is not a magic bullet. I'm just going to preface all of this. But each controller is unique in how the potentiometers that are built into it work, right? There are all kinds of things. There's traction control, there's anti-spin, which is really the same thing. There's choke, there's sensitivity, there's anti-braking, there is, what else? Throttle curves. You have so many things that you can adjust on a controller. Some are more complicated than others. So I have been using the DS controller exclusively since I got it. And my original controller was a DeFalco controller, the DD302. Great controller. You're not going to hear me bash any of these controllers. They're all really good, but they're all different in how they approach the same thing, making a slot car go fast. Okay? So we're going to talk about the MK15. Special Control is the name. Franceshini. I'm butchering that. I apologize to you. You've made a great controller. I maybe have 150, 200 laps with this controller. Immediately, I was very quick with this controller. Now, I have to give a shout out to Greg. When Greg was over here on Tuesday night, I looked at his settings and said, where did you start? Let that be my baseline, because we have a similar driving style, except for I come out of the slot a lot and Greg stays in the slot a lot. But we do have similar driving tendencies. So if Greg can drive a car really fast, potentially I have a chance at driving that same car really fast, because if it's set up in his driving style, we're similar enough that it usually translates well to me. So for this controller, you have quite a few things, and I'm just gonna go over it. The case says it's an MB slot case. The handle. This does come with a 2-finger trigger. It is included is 3 different springs. One spring is a soft spring, and then you have there's a medium spring and then a hard spring. So if the trigger pull is a little too soft for you, they actually include with the controller 3 different springs. And I think that's fantastic. So well done. On the backside, there's a switch that is advance on and off. If you turn that switch off, it pretty much ignores all of this, and it's just a straight controller based on what I'm reading. Now, this controller has the best manual I've seen for a controller out there. Very impressive. And I will touch on all the things that this controller does here in a second. On the backside, there's a switch, is max brake or adjustable brake. And basically that switch, when it's on max brake, it ignores the braking potentiometer, and when it's on adjustable, it's using the braking potentiometer to control your braking. And then on the front side, you have 2 switches here: curve on and off, and sensibility, soft and hard. And so to explain what that is, I'm going to look at the manual just so that I don't say it wrong. Sensibility, hard equals positive starting speed, controller resistance, and then low, suitable for motors with higher absorption, is what he says. And I'm guessing that's for more RPMs, right? Motors with higher RPMs. And so you can basically help the sensitivity out of a motor by using the soft and hard. And we'll jump in a little more when I go through kind of the instructions of this. Curve, on or off. On, nonlinear progression makes delivery of the first third of the trigger stroke more prompt. So off, it's pretty much a flat line, and on, the curve is actually a curve for your throttle pull for your trigger. Red, this first one, this is the brake. Counterclockwise rotation reduces the brake. Clockwise rotation increases the brake. So the closer you are to 20, it's a 0 to 20. The closer you are to 20, the more brake you have. The blue is power. Power is counterclockwise rotation decreases engine power. Clockwise rotation increases engine power. So that's the blue. The green is the sensibility, is what it's called. And counterclockwise reduces engine starting speed, and clockwise rotation increases engine starting speed. And so higher number equals higher speed. On the blue, higher number equals more power. Anything below 20, power is reduced steadily regardless of the trigger position. So if you have this on 18 and you're full trigger, 18 is your max of power that it does, right? And then on the red, higher number is greater brake, just so you understand what the numbers mean. And then the yellow is anti-spin, which I'm going to call traction control, right? Counterclockwise rotation, increase engine responsiveness. Clockwise rotation reduces engine responsiveness. High number equals smoother delivery, lazier motor. That's the description in the manual. And I think those are great descriptions on what each of these things do. So anti-spin, it just calms the motor down as you pull the trigger, right? Sensibility is sort of how sensitive is your controller. The higher number, higher speed. So I'm looking at that as this is really like controlling the ohms of your controller, which is on the DeFalco using different networks. I use a 512, 521. I can't remember the number. It's a pretty slow network. So I'm running a lot of sensitivity on the DeFalco, which calms things down for me on most tracks. There are other tracks that I would want to run my standard one, but it would always be nice to have something in the middle. This controller doesn't have networks. It's built into the sensibility, okay? Power is just, if you're running a 25K motor and the track just can't handle it, so then you can control the power of the motor, right? This controls the sensitivity of what's going on with the controller. This is the power of the motor. And then brake is brake, right? It doesn't have a super fancy braking circuit, but it does have a lot of adjustment from the brake. Now, so that's one of the things that I like about the DS. The DS has a great braking circuit. It actually has two controls. And it's a little confusing to explain to people on the DS how that works. I just kind of know that it works. And I know now I've figured out how to tweak that. And what I'm finding is the deeper I get into this slot car racing hobby, part of the hobby, the more brake I'm running. It's because I tend to dive into a turn kind of late. But when I get to a new track, I'm diving in really early. I'm braking early because I'm nervous about coming out of the slot, right? And so I think my controllers are helping me with my brake points. I'll have to play with this. You'll have to play with this. Overall construction, this one was ordered with an XLR. I have a couple of dongles that I've made to go to alligator clips. If I make it to Italy and race over there, I will have to use whatever clip, whatever they use to plug in. I'll have to buy or create an adapter for that. There's a little 3D printed box that he's got that makes it pretty easy to swap out whatever connector you want for the situation. That's the basics of this controller. Feels pretty good. I'm going to run some laps with it, show you those, compare some times. I think what I am going to do is I'm going to do a controller shootout with the controllers that I have here at Two Lion Speedway. We have the MK15 now. We have the DS PHN1. We have the DeFalco 302. My brother has a DeFalco 304. If we want to bring that really nice braking circuit into it, my brother really liking that. He bought that off of our buddy Steve because Steve has moved over to the DS and loves it. And then my brother has a Slot-It. And so maybe we'll do a shootout between all four of those. Those tend to be similar. I would love to get a hold of the +1 controller that's out there. The only person I know that's been able to get their hands on one is Ian and Todd. So if you guys want to send that to me, that'd be great. If the company that does +1 out of China wants to send me one to test, to compare, send me one. Reach out to me. I would love to help. And then there are some other controllers out there. I don't have a third eye. I have not tried the Apex from TrueSpeed. I think it would be really good to get in here and do a complete shootout. But I'm going to use the controllers that I have. I'm going to use those 4, and we're going to see what they are. So that's a video coming that I'm going to be working on. So let's take this to the track. I will try to talk through what I'm seeing happen, and then maybe I will run some laps in this video with the DeFalco or the DS, or maybe all 3, just to see if I can get a comparison, how they feel. In the manual, that's a lot of manual, and there's pages of it. But it talks about braking adjustment. It talks about anti-spin adjustments. He gives you some things in this, like with anti-spin. Personally, I prefer not to reduce power below 6. The best setting is one that allows good cornering without skidding. The driving sensation does not always correspond to the best performance. It is better to favor consistency, even to the detriment of isolated performance. It's always advisable to try the adjustment for the fair number of laps, checking the times. So he's already saying sometimes it's not about the fastest time. It's about staying in the slot. And I will tell you, before we even get on the track, I ran 10 laps with each of these controllers, 10, 15 laps. I never came out of the slot. The car is super controllable, but we'll touch on that. So let's get to the track. Okay, guys, we will be running the white lane. We will be running an NSR Lola because I'm super consistent with this car, and I'll kind of know how I'm doing in the white and red lane, especially because those are the 2 lanes that I probably lap the most. And then I'm going to reset the times, so these will be fresh, so we can clear that using fast laps. So let's run some laps. Right now this is how I have the controller set up. I'm running about 16 brake. I'm running about 17 with power. The sensibility is on 7, and I'm running about 16 on anti-spin. The curve switch is on, sensibility is set to soft, and adjustable brake, and I'm on the advanced. So there you have it. So let's run some laps, and we'll see what we can do. So the track is fairly clean, so I should be able to run low 7s. Maybe I'll get into the 6s. It really depends on weather and humidity down here in the basement, but I would say 7.1s, 7.2s is probably going to be where we are. If we get down in the 6.9s, that means really the car is running really good. But very controllable, pretty easy to keep the rear of the car behind, the tracking straight behind the guide, especially through those turns. Now, that hairpin gets a little squirrely sometimes, but this seems really settled. Tires are probably getting a little dirty right now. And then there's my first out. So I got 10 laps in, 7.050, 7.13, 7.145. So I'm not in the 6s yet, but that's pretty consistent. And you can see that I was kind of locked in. So now what we're going to do, at least what I'm going to do, is let's give us a little more power. Let's go up to, let's give us full power, 20. So based on what we know is that should give us everything out of the motor. And this is a classic, so it's a 22 or 21.5 NSR, the pink. Yeah, let's see what it does. I'm not going to move anything else. I may need to adjust the brake because I'm set at 16, but let's see. If we give the motor full power, can we get under 7 seconds? Oh, and I'm out. So, but answered the question, 699, 704, those 2 laps. But I did come out. So just like in the instruction manual, it said, sometimes it's about staying in the slot, maybe not getting the fastest. So let's back off that power just a bit. Let's go down to maybe like 18 on the power and see if we can stay in the slot a little easier and maybe still get a similar time. Still get close to that under 7-second, but stay in the slot a little easier. Oh. All right, 7180, 7077, 7028. Still pretty quick, not under 7 seconds, but again, probably just a tad too much power. I'm going to bring it back down. Now let's go. I was on sensibility is on 7. Let's move it to like 12 and see how that changes. Yeah, a little bit harder to keep. It's just a little bit harder to drive. Yeah, so I'm gonna move that back. I kind of like that where it was. Anti-spin. Let's crank the anti-spin all the way up. Or no, let's turn it off and see what we get. And this is traction control. Yeah, see, that's where the anti-spin really helps, is through the S turns, I believe. So you can kind of get through there a little faster, because it's really easy to like throw yourself out of the slot there. So, all right, so let's dial back that anti-spin back up to where we had it, because I feel like we were close there, about 16, 17 on the dial. If we have it, we might as well use it, right? And man, it just feels so much better through the S's. Okay, I'm really starting to push it. And let's back the brakes off and see if we can get the car to roll a little bit more. Let's see if we don't pick up some speed just because we can roll through. Well, I think that I've been practicing with a lot more brake so that I can go a little deeper. With less brake, you definitely have to brake sooner. I like how it rolls through. Again, getting some offs. 7053. So I'm right there, but I think having that brake a lot stronger allows me a little more control. So I'm going to bring that brake back up to where it was, and that should let me get through the turns without upsetting the car as easy. Now, again, I might be saying the wrong things because I'm trying to drive and think about what the car's doing and how that's translated by the controller. So if I misspeak, just correct me in the comments. But I really when the controller's set up right, I can rattle off laps and stay in the slot and still be pretty consistent. 7-1, 7-1, 7-0, 7-1, 7-1, 7-0. So now you see what it's doing. I'm actually, gosh, I'm really pleased with this. Now I know sometimes I'm a fanboy, right? I get it. Sometimes I'm like, I get something new in my hands and I'm immediately faster because I'm a little excited about it. So to not do that, I'm going to run my DeFalco, which was my first controller, which is probably the controller I'm the most comfortable with, right? And I've got it set up. Just so you know, my sensitivity is set at 7. I'm at an 8 with the brake because I've been running more brake. It's a 2-finger, so that's good. And my traction control set at about 6. I would say that that's probably, based on these settings, pretty close to what we have going on the MK15. So let's clean the tires to give this a fair shot. So 6999, 7028, 7040 are my best laps with the MK15. Let's see if we can get close with the DeFalco. The one thing I will tell you about the DeFalco, I'm very comfortable with it. I've got hundreds of thousands of laps with the DeFalco controller. I can already see it, I'm not as fast to the S turns, but I'm locked in to the slot. I'm being super consistent, and that's half the battle, right? So it tells me that I still love the DeFalco controller. I can lap really well. What we found out though is, like, some tracks, different controllers react different. And well, I think I proved that I'm probably a little better driver with my DeFalco at this point. Here we go. So here we go. 7-2, 7-1, 7-1, 7-1, 7-1, 7-1, 7-2, 7-1. The DeFalco is super, super consistent. I would be pretty happy with those times with this car. Did I go faster with the MK15? Yes. Do I think that I have that controller set up perfect at this point? No. I'm here. We might as well try the DS PHN1. We'll do the same thing, clean the tires, and let's run maybe 10 laps and see how we do with this. Because we have that really great braking circuitry for the DS. And I can already tell you a 7016 that first lap, 7044 the second lap. I'm just a hair faster with the PHN1 consistently, and I have lots of laps with this controller now, and so I really think it's a comfort level, and that I really don't have the MK set up perfectly yet for my driving style. I'm close because I can get the speed. Now it's just about staying in the slot, right? We'll do maybe 2 more laps here, and see how it goes from a lap time standpoint. All right, here we go. Man, 7061, 7044, 7126, 7097, 7163, 7196, 7195, 7175. There's 4 in a row there that I got a fast streak. Fast Laps has a really cool feature with practice fast streaks. If you're within, you can set it in the settings within a certain tenth or a thousandth of a second. It will give you a streak, and you can know. So I had a really average lap time of 7182 in the fast streak. That's pretty good. That's actually really good. We'll go back to this controller and see if we can't get just a little more consistent in the slot with this. We know it's got the speed because it's got the 3 fastest times, but I had some outs, right? And that's the difference maker. Like we want to stay in the slot. I'm gonna give myself a little more break and see if that's what it was. Ooh. Okay. So the car seems upset a little bit with how I've got my settings. I might need to go back and remind myself of what I actually had this thing set up earlier in the video, because I don't think I've got it set back the way it was, because I'm slower and I'm coming out of the slot. Yeah. I've got the speed. There. I think that's what I had it set on. bring it back around. Let's give it a fair shake by cleaning the tires, since I did have the off. And let's see what we can do. Okay. Faster times with that. I just ran a 6.97, the fastest lap of this session. So the other controllers I cannot get under 7, but I can like be locked in the slot. This one I'm getting faster times, but I'm having some issues staying in the slot. Now I'm really close, so I'm trying to decide, is it my anti-spin or is it the sensitivity that I need to play with a little bit. I will say that I've come out of the slot in the same spot, that hairpin, which tells me that maybe I need to adjust my anti-spin, because maybe I'm getting on the power just a little too quickly and I'm spinning out, I'm drifting a little bit there. That's a better turn right there. It might just be technique. There we go. Okay, came out of the slot, but 7139, 7084, 7120, 7049, 7088, 7183, 7102, 7117, 7081, 7065, 7068. Yeah. I'm really close on the settings of that car, with this car. Very, very cool. The more laps I get, the more confident I get with this, for sure. So guys, there is a quick look at the MK15. I don't know how fast this, how quick this video actually is. I'm like 34 minutes in, but the Special Control by Franceshini, the MK15, I really like it. It's fast. I think I just have a few more tweaks to get the controller where I need it to be, so that I can stay in the slot like I do with the DS and the DeFalco. And if I can maintain the speed and stay in the slot super consistent, and I think it's just going to take some time with the controller. I may try a couple of the different springs to see if it is pretty soft. It's similar to the DS. I do like the fact that it is a rheostat, or it's basically a 23 point board in there, and so I have the audio that I like from the DeFalco. That sound, I really just like that sound. The other thing is you have the feel. So with the magnetic, at the DS, I miss that feel a little bit. But the brake circuit is so good that I live without it, right? But all in all, I really like this. Again, I'm going to do a shootout video. This really wasn't a shootout video. This was just kind of a testing video. But I will do a shootout video with this versus the DeFalco versus the DS PHN1 versus the Slot-It, and give you a breakdown of all of them, because controllers are one of those things that every time I talk about controllers on my channel, they have lots of questions. But shout out to the folks who make this. I think it's one person. I don't know exactly where it comes from, but what an amazing manual. It's very well laid out, explains very well. You should not have a problem getting this set up. And if you're interested in buying one of these, reach out to Greg at Velocity Slot Racing Parts, because he will be stocking these very, very soon. We're still trying to work out with the tariff changes that happened this past week. what the final price is going to be. So hopefully they can work that out and maybe get that price point down a little bit. So I'm not going to share the price at this point. I can tell you that it's not $500. I can tell you that it's not $200. It's somewhere in between. Between $300 and $350 would be my guess is where it lands based on the new tariff rules. So it's not the cheapest controller out there, but from a feel standpoint, it's quality. The performance at this point is already starting to show up. I still have some things to learn. I'm going to reread this manual a few more times just to make sure that I understand how everything is adjusted and just get this thing dialed in. So, guys, if you want to know more about this, leave me a comment. I'm happy to answer any questions that I have. Again, look for that next video, which will be the shootout video. If you like this kind of content, hit the subscribe button, give me a thumbs up, hit the bell so you get notified anytime I put out new content. I really appreciate you tuning in this week. And like I always say, thank you to Super Tires for being a channel sponsor. I really appreciate Pamela and all that she does for the hobby and how she supports my subscribers and my channel. It's great. So shout out to them, and shout out to Velocity Slot Racing Parts. Greg does an awesome job, and he's got some great parts out there if you're looking for something. And now, if you're interested in the MK15 controller, you can get it through him. So, guys, thanks for tuning in, and as always, go have some fun racing.